Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Crown and today we are going to have some more stories that I hope that you will enjoy. But before we start, it will be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now, without further ado, let's go! First story. I screwed my mother's greedy family out of her funeral benefits. Background. My late mother and my dad met when she was a nurse and he was a medical student in the late 60s. They got married in 1973, I was born later that year, and my mom's family always despised my dad, but not his money, because he wasn't Zulu and couldn't speak the language. The mom stayed home and raised my siblings and I. What they didn't know is that my parents had an agreement that she would stay home and raise us but was studying. She ended up being an amazing student and my dad only paid for her first year of her degree and she has scholarships the rest of her academic career all the way to her PhD. She sadly died 6 months before defending her thesis. My brother started school, my mother went back to work as a lecturer, but also started first translating books and writing books. By the time I was in my mid-teens, she was out earning my dad 4-to-1. We went to private schools, took luxurious holidays, wore nice clothes, lived in a big house, and she and my dad drove a late model Mercedes or BMW every 2 years. And we went to university, which they paid for in full. She was always sending money back to her family, paying for their education, letting them stay in their rental properties and so on. In my country, there are things called funeral policies where you pay a nominal amount monthly and insure someone, and when they pass away you can claim the funeral benefit to help with the funeral. A lot of these freeloaders had insured my mom and told us about it, and were paying for the benefits with the money she gave them, ostensibly to help pay for the funeral when she passed away. The story. My mom passed away suddenly and unexpectedly from an asthma attack on a Tuesday at 63, and we duly informed everyone. They, mom's family, all live 6 to 12 hours away by car. Strike 1. They call asking for gas money to come to the funeral. Strike 2. They arrive empty-handed and expect to be waited on hand and foot. They also never contributed even 1 red cent to her funeral. This is something that is done in my country. Strike 3. I had 2 small babies. My sister was in the UK and struggling to get flights out because it was just after Easter and we wanted to wait until she arrived to set the funeral date and other arrangements. Funeral was set for Tuesday. They accused us of setting up the date so they couldn't attend because it wasn't a weekend. Funerals usually held on weekends to allow family to travel, and that they needed to take leave. And my dad reminded them that we all had to take leave. Strike 4. My aunts ransacked my mom's room, which she had shared with my dad, all while we were running around making arrangements, and helped themselves to her clothes, shoes, and jewelry. They even stole her wedding rings. Strike 5. My uncles and cousins got drunk on the day of the funeral and got into a fight and messed up each other, and my grieving dad had to stitch these jerks up. Strike 6. They commented on the cost of her casket and the tombstone. Yes, they were pricey, but my mom liked nice things and had put away enough money to pay for it herself. At this point, I was running on no sleep, grieving and trying to pay attention to my babies, and so I lost it. I grabbed a handful of coins and threw it at them, screaming that they could have their contribution back. They hadn't made one. Well, it was not my best moment, but they also commented on why we were using catering instead of cooking at home, as was custom. This was my mother's wish. She always said she wanted a caterer, so all of her family could attend her funeral instead of tending to the pots. Screw them. Strike 7. They asked for gas money to get back home. The revenge. Now, to claim from the funeral policy, you had to produce a police-certified death certificate. As they were weaseling their slimy ways out, they owed to a man, all 12 of them, aunts, uncles, cousins, asked for copies of the death certificate. They had a program, ostensibly to get they all to a man, all 12 of them, aunts, uncles, and cousins, asked for copies of the death certificate. They had a program, ostensibly to get bereavement leave from their respective jobs. I gave them photocopies of the death certificate, but just not certified. They all claimed to need certified copies 4 and 4 and 4. My dad and I blandly told them that for work, they do not need certified copies, just copies, and we sent them on their way. The fallout. None of those greedy jerks were ever able to claim from the policies because they couldn't get certified copies and they were unable to get original death certificates because we never gave them copies of her ID needed to get an original certificate. So yeah, screw you greedy jerks. Hope you got rich selling her clothes and jewelry. Oh, and the tab of unending money shut down hard. Edit. You cannot get a funeral policy on just anyone. You have to have a familiar relationship usually. You need to provide their ID number, address, and so on. And after this, you need to provide the aforementioned police-certified death certificate, a police-certified deceased stamp ID to claim. You would not have access to these with a random person. At least we hope so. Next story. Crazy high lady gets her correct order, thinks it's wrong, tries to fight the employees, and then her mom comes to scold the police. I said I wouldn't post any more of dad's police stories and I lied. So yes, my dad is a police officer and has many stories for me to grind karma on. Today I will present you with a story about a highly entitled person who forgets what she orders and attempts to attack the employees for getting her order right. Chapter 1. Prelude. My dad started with this part. He reviewed the camera footage to learn what happened because that's his job. A lady with a navy blue cotton shirt and some dark gray jeans, she had long black hair and dread style. That's what my dad said. She had entered the store and ordered a number 2 or something like that. She then goes into the bathroom to do drugs. No, for real. She really did that. She came out stumbling around and such. My dad did not name the drugs, but they were needles. The fast food joint called 911 because of her being publicly drunk. Chapter 2. Action begins. The lady then started yelling at the employees because she thought she ordered a number 12, which wasn't a number, and jumped into the counter and stomped her feet, yelling her head off a little. She threw the number 2 meals and ordered it into the back, which made the manager come out. The lady then grabs a bucket knife and threatens to stab everyone and herself. Chapter 3. OP's dad appears. This is when my dad came on scene. He said dispatch reported only a drunk woman, not what she was doing. My dad enters the store with his partner, let's call him Bucky after Bucky Barnes from Marvel. The lady looks over and grabs money from the register, crumbles it up, and tosses it at Bucky, and the lady tries the spitting move. Guess how that worked? Bucky goes to the car for a utility. The lady drops from the counter and hits the manager, who dodges the first punch and uppercuts the lady onto the floor. My dad grabs his taser before ripping away the knife. He grabs her and she then bit down on his arm. Thank God he wore the sleeves that day. He point-blank tases her, and she falls to the ground. But then she dashes to the manager to bite his leg. That failed because my dad grabbed her throat to slide her back since she was on the floor. He then used some pain compliance to stop her from attacking them anymore. He tased her again and managed to put her in cuffs as she fired spit in every direction. My dad gets up as Bucky laughs uncontrollably, as he just avoided the fight. Bucky puts the spit mask on the lady, stopping her from spitting on them. She yells that she cannot breathe when she clearly can, or else the department wouldn't have the spit hoods. These aren't the plastic wrap spit hoods. These ones are less easy to apply, but are more humane. During the fight, one of the employees was arguing with the mother of this lady. My dad tells Bucky to handle the lady on drugs as he goes to the mother of the lady on drugs. The entitled mother tells him, "You are pigs of capitalism." You only care for the next dollar more than the customer themselves. Treat my daughter as if she was the owner, because after this lawsuit, she will be. You little N-word. Not even little. You are. This lady was actually black, and the man she was insulting was white. So I don't know if it's racist or not, to be honest. But my dad now intervenes perfectly. Whoa, hey, what do you want? This man is trying to grab me. He's harassing me. Do not lie to me. There are cameras. You're just cursing this poor man out. Come and talk with me. At this point, Bucky is fighting again. When he went to lift the drugged woman up, she dashed to the gift card stand and tipped it over, before smashing into a little kid. My dad runs over with his taser drawn, yelling orders. Bucky grips the lady's shoulders and pulls her onto her back. The entitled mother looks over in shock. What are you doing to my daughter? Assault her? Bucky manages to restrain her with his taser. The lady yells that Bucky is choking. My dad leads everyone out of the store, but the mom won't budge. And my dad gives her an ultimatum. Leave the store or I'm going to force you out. Understood? And she responds, understood. I'm not leaving. Guess the entitled mother did not understand what force is. So my dad grabs her and tells the employee to go behind the counter. As my dad grabs the screaming mother out of the store, Bucky is now playing the hit police game. Who can kick more than the officer can grab? Sadly, the lady scored a -1. As Bucky grabs her leg and tases her, but she still fought, trying to hit butt and kick my dad and Bucky. This goes on until the mother enters the store. The mother grabs Bucky's neck from behind, which makes my dad Spartan kick her in the head. The funny thing is, the lady on drugs said, "Little witch," towards her mother. Bucky yells for help from one of the manly enough employees. Backup arrives in the form of the manager. The manager asks what to do and Bucky tells him to do a pink compliance method. And it worked. The mother was crying on the floor as my dad got up to handcuff her. As Bucky finally controlled the ladder with more pink compliance, both of them are escorted. One of my dad's favorite quotes is, "If you're fighting people with your fists, backup comes after you're done." And it has been true 9 out of 10 times. Backup arrives to transport the drugged woman separately, leaving the mother to the hands of the Bucky and my dad. Guess who needed an extra spit hood? Sadly no. They only had one spit hood in the bag for some reason. Bucky goes inside to get some statements and video as the lady is in the protection of my dad. Bucky comes out with some good old-fashioned duct tape. The mother spits on my dad and then Bucky as soon as he enters the car. Bucky opens the door, teases the mother, and slaps the duct tape on her mouth. That's a callback to what Bucky and my dad did before they had spit hoods. Chapter 4. To the station. The mother is mumbling and trying to yell at one point, starts bashing her head on the back of the seat. For context, that hurts. And it hurts so bad that your protectors will stop the car to make sure you don't do that. The entitled mother found this out and kept doing it. Bucky employed pin compliance that did not work, so he just let the entitled mother do it after many warnings. Once at the station, the entitled mother complained that her head hurts. I wonder why. They get her out of the car and she says she cannot breathe. Let's play. Fun law enforcement officer facts with law enforcement officer's son. There is this known rule that if you do anything lawful and get put in handcuffs, you will say you can't breathe. That sucks for the cop though. She drops to the floor as Bucky picks her up. She drops to the floor again. This was meant to make it seem like she cannot breathe. My dad ripped the duct tape off of her mouth, and then the lady claimed she had brain damage because she bashed her head onto the back of the seat. Bucky points to his body camera and tells the lady to cry in jail. They hand her off to the police station staff to put her in a cell. 10 seconds later, the police who are putting the entitled mother in the cell need backup. As my dad and Bucky approach, they see the entitled mother slamming her head into the wall. They tase her, pick her up, tase her, pick her up, tase her. I think you get the point. All of that until she was put into a police station holding cell. Chapter 5. Charges on me. The lady on drugs was charged with destruction of property, aggravated assault, resisting arrest, threatening assault with a deadly weapon or something like that, battery, assault, and some assault on a law enforcement officer charges. The mother gets an aggravated assault, resisting arrest, and resisting lawful orders from a law enforcement officer. Next story. He does work here. Fooled you. This tale is just an amusing incident. To set the scene, we have a holiday home in the south of Spain which we have visited for several weeks, a year, for over 30 years now. Nearby is a wonderful peach restaurant that we go to for lunch about 4 times a week. Over the years we must have been there over 500 times. When we first went, the restaurant was owned and run by an elderly couple. But when they retired about 20 years ago, their 2 sons and their young daughter took over the business, which they still run today. So to say we know them well would be considered an understatement. They employ about 6 to 8 other staff, who gradually come and go over the years. The other significant detail is that everybody wears a matching uniform, and they change the uniform or at least the color scheme every single year. Yesterday was our first visit this year, and the stars aligned for some fun. By complete chance and just about the first time ever, I turned up wearing exactly the same uniform as the staff. Bright orange polo shirt and navy blue shorts. So as we did all the greetings and backslappings and how are yous, much fun was made by the 2 brothers in my attire. Without saying anything more, the elder brother Manuel, not his name, disappeared into the kitchen. A minute later, a new to us waitress appeared, looking flustered and marching over to our table. This was, say, Maria. Also not her name. And this was apparently her first year working there. She started loudly demanding that I get back to work pronto, and that the boss had told her how lazy I was and was on a final warning. She got very shouty when I started arguing that I did not work there, and the other customers were greatly enjoying the spectacle. After a couple of minutes, Manuel reappeared and rescued me, and explained to her the joke, and she went very red. And I learned a couple of new, not safe for work Spanish words. But we're all friends now, and Maria has been properly introduced. And the drinks? The drinks were free. Update. Wow, quite a spectrum of comments. Some people get it, and it seems some don't. So, to clarify, this is a family business. Everybody is friends and nobody, Maria included, was offended. Also, this is Spain. The staff work there because they want to and because they enjoy it. It's considered a proper job. Nobody got a big tip out of it because Spain does not do tipping. Workers are paid a living wage, and Maria did get a big hug of Manuel though. I can thoroughly recommend the swordfish. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.